You know, so many of us have been told to cut our carbs to lose weight. How many of you, raise your hand up, have cut your carbs to lose weight? Right? I have too. I was on 20 grams of carbs per day. And I remember I used to count out my crackers because you guys know that I'm a lazy cooker. I don't like to cook. And Susan, we talked about that today on her coaching call. She doesn't like to cook, and I get it. But I was counting out those saltines because I can only have a few. Isn't that awful? How restrictive is that? And so, anyways, yeah, we're always told, I think it's easy for the doctors to say, hey, eat low carb. They don't have to explain it too much. But tonight, I want to explain it to you a little bit. Carbs are not your enemy. They really are not. I have so many women that come on here that are so afraid of eating carbs. They'll eat their proteins, they'll eat fat. I mean, that fat line on their nutrition will be hanging off the edge and dangling and going, don't eat any more fat. It's red, it's fire, fire red. And they're like, I ain't touching a carb, Allie, I'm afraid of my carbs. First, girlfriend, did you know it's easier for your body to convert fat that you eat into body fat? More easier than carbs, much easier than carbs, and much easier than protein. So when your fat is up there like, woo, 80, 90, 100, I've seen some of you 120, 130 grams of fat. Well, here's what I hear about that. Well, it's healthy fat, Allie. Aren't fats healthy? Well, some of them are. Avocados are healthy fat. Walnuts are a healthy fat. But everything that's out of balance, when it's out of balance, it's not good. So your body can convert that fat. If your calories are too high, which they can get really high really fast with fats, because your fat grams have double the calories that you're more than double actually than your carbs and your protein. Did you know that? So boy, wow, did you know just a few nuts? I'd have to get a little picture, but I think 10 or 12 almonds has over 100 calories, right? I put 200 calories. My mom said she was eating a cup of walnuts in the morning with her breakfast. And I said, Mom, did you know that a cup of walnuts, 1 cup of healthy walnuts has 800 calories? Whoa, 1 cup. I could eat a cup of walnuts. I really could, especially if I was hungry. And there's 800 calories. And guess what? I'm going to be starving in about an hour, right? So we're not here to talk about fats, but I want you to realize that carbs are not your enemy. It is how your body, how you eat them, what kind of carbs you eat, and also how your body handles them. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And if you're over 40, the way that you eat carbs, I'm telling you, ladies, it does matter. So you're going to want to listen to this, because there is a way for you to eat carbs and there's a way for you not to eat carbs. The first thing I'm going to say is carbs are not the enemy. All right, your blood sugar is. I've got my notes here. I'm going to try to stick to them. Carbs are just fuel like fat and protein. They're just fuel. Your body uses them for energy. The problem is when you eat them the wrong way, they get stored as fat instead. And that's what we're here to avoid, right? Most of us are here to lose body fat, and we're here to gain muscle. So here's what happens when you eat carbs alone. Now listen to that, alone. Your carbs always need friends. If you're going to eat carbs, eat it with friends. And here's what I mean. Eat them not alone. Eat them with some fat. Eat them with some protein or some fiber. That's really important. Eat your carbs with some protein or some fiber. I always say don't eat naked carbs. A naked carb would be if you go into your kitchen and you grab a teaspoonful of sugar, right? What else kind of does that? A rice cake? Sounds like diet food, doesn't it? But a rice cake is a very fast moving carb. There's very little to no fiber in it at all. Okay. I don't even think they put fiber on the package. I'd have to go read it. And then you eat it and your blood sugar spikes. Okay. That's not the carb. You know, we think, well, I've seen competitors eat rice cakes, Allie, and your husband eats rice all the time. He's not a woman over 40. He's lean. He's a lean, mean fighting machine. But we, you know, ladies, we process carbs differently. And for us to sit down and eat some white rice when you're trying to lose body fat is pretty high on my list of don't do it's. All right. So I see a lot of you eating rice cakes, and you think, well, it's a low calorie food. It's also a food that can spike your blood sugar. And when that happens, your body, your insulin spikes, and your body says, store this extra sugar as fat. Yikes. All right. So we want to make sure that we don't have the blood sugar spikes and crashes. If we go into the kitchen and I eat in the morning, if I eat 2 rice cakes for breakfast, doesn't sound very good, does it? And I head out the door, guess what happens? My blood sugar is going to spike, especially if I put some jelly on top. Whoa. And then I'm going to have spiking blood sugar. So whenever Tony and I talk to you ladies about your breakfast, it's really important. You want to start your day off with some protein and with some fiber. It's really important. The reason why is, you know, we think of cereal. I just want a bowl of cereal, right? And a bowl of cereal can really spike your insulin. It can spike your blood sugar. And what happens is when that blood sugar goes up too fast, your body says, I've got extra. Go put that over there and store it as fat in the fat cells because it's really trying to save your life. I heard this story one time and it just hit me. I'd never heard blood sugar explained like this before. And this was explained online somewhere. I think it was a podcast I listened to, or maybe a YouTube video. And this girl's father has died of diabetes, and it runs in her family. And it just made her so sad. And she explained how blood sugar works in a really, really great way. She said, we all have so many fat cells. And when we eat the wrong kind of carbs or too much carbs and too many calories, what happens is our body can't handle all of that. If you guys have ever heard of insulin resistance, it just means your body is not able to handle the sugar like it used to. And it's going to store more fat. It's just going to store. It can't handle it. Your body has to protect you from that sugar because that sugar right there, it can kill you. Did you know that? So your body needs to put it somewhere. Let me mute this. Hold on. All right. Hold on. So what your body does is it doesn't want to dump it into your bloodstream. Okay. Like it just has all this extra and it doesn't want to dump it in there. So it dumps it over into your fat cells. Your fat cells are like little storage containers. And those fat cells can only get so big. They can only store so much. And they become tight and swollen. And then after they're all full, this girl said, my father was so obese. And his fat stores were full. And what happened is diabetes happens and it pours that sugar into your bloodstream. And she said, and eventually it kills you because all of your fat stores are so full that there's no place for it to go. And she just said, it makes me sick to think about it. And I thought, man, I have never heard it said that way before. But it's so true. And when that happens, you know, all kinds of illnesses happen to people. They lose their eyesight, they lose toes, fingers, all of the stuff, right? Sugar diabetes is nothing to fool with. So we're on here talking about fat loss. but it goes much deeper because some of you have been diagnosed with sugar diabetes. Type 2, Wade always laughs at the way I say it. Diabetes. That's how you're supposed to say it. Diabetes, not diabetes. And some of you have a high A1C. And that is a big deal, ladies. It's no joke. Because if you don't have type 2, you can. You're on the path to that. And type 2 diabetes, on average, shortens someone's life by 15 years. The bad thing about that is I'm 57. The average lifespan for a woman, the average, which doesn't mean you might live shorter or longer, I don't know, 76. Okay? 76. If I'm 50, if I'm 57, I'll be 58 this year, and I take 15 years off of my average lifespan, how much life do I have left? See what I'm saying? We need to think about these things. When we put food in our mouth, I think it was, I can't remember who said it, in 500 BC, right around there. Crazy to think it was that long ago, but food is medicine. Your food is your medicine. But food, in this case, with type 2 diabetes, is also food, can be your poison. It can be our death. So while we talk about carbs today, I want you to remember that nutrition is the key to health, not just the best looking body. You know, there are skinny women that have type 2 diabetes, skinny women. One reason why is because they're spiking their blood sugar all the time. But one reason why your blood sugar can spike all the time is this: you have a low muscle tissue. You've lost muscle. Did you know that when your insulin, when your blood sugar has nowhere to go, if you have less muscle, you're more prone to type 2 diabetes? That is yet another reason to build muscle tissue. But here's the thing: when you're eating low carb and you're on a diet, what happens is this: we think I need to eat low carb because I'm going to lose weight faster. The truth is, you lose water weight right out the gate. And that's why they tell you eat salt, take electrolytes, because your body is dumping water. Okay. And so after that happens, you know, you have this initial weight loss that's pretty fast. And then your body starts, part of that is taking fluid, the water from your muscles. So your muscles look much smaller. And here's the thing: if you don't know what you're doing with your protein and your calories and you're really restricted, that's how I got major muscle loss. I was low carb, low calorie. I didn't think I was low protein. I considered myself a meat eater, but I was very low protein. And that right there was a recipe for muscle loss, fat gain, slowing my metabolism down, and causing me all sorts of health issues, all sorts of health issues. Sugar spikes from eating carbs. Sometimes I finally couldn't take it, and I just say, just screw it. I'm not losing weight anyway. And I would just go eat sugar. And then my blood sugar would spike and my body would hold on to every bit of it it could. And then I would have a crash and have cravings for sugar. So we've got to stop this love-hate relationship with our carbs. And we need to understand that our carbs do matter and what they look like does matter. Fiber is very, very important. What are the good carbs to eat? Not the donut carbs. The donuts are made of what? Carbs and fat, basically, right? Sugar and fat. So if your body gets too much sugar, it makes body fat. And if your body gets too much fat, it makes body fat. Whoa. So donuts, I love a good twisted cinnamon and sugar donut, but those are something you can eat very little of on occasion. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But your carbs that you do eat look more like this. Avocado. Avocado is a high fat, but high fiber food. Blackberries. Why blackberries? Who knows why we can eat blackberries? Think of all those little seeds in there. Fiber, right? Raspberries. Now, some people eat blueberries, but think about it. Do they have as much fiber? No. You can think in your mind logically, no, right? So when you eat an apple, don't peel the apple. Eat the skin. That's where the fiber mostly is. When you eat a potato, I wouldn't recommend if you're trying to lose body fat that you eat white potatoes, but if you do, eat the skin. It helps stabilize your blood sugar. All right. There's a reason why we need to eat those things. And that's where a lot of the vitamins are. At least that's what my mom said. Eat your potato skin. It's where all the nutrition is. I used to tell my granddaughter she hated the bread, the crust on the bread. And I used to tell her, eat the crust. That's where all of the nutrients are. Oh my God. I was such a liar, but it sounded good. So, so many women struggle with fat loss because they're eating carbs that are not filled with fiber. I had a lady come up to me the other day in the gym. She goes, Allie, can I ask you a question? And I said, yes. She said, could you look over my nutrients and see if I'm doing okay and my macros? And I'm like, yeah, I'll look at it. And she goes, my sugar was high. It's like about 75. And I said, well, what's your fiber? And she goes, well, it's 21, but I forgot to put in there that I take a fiber supplement. And I said, I don't care. Fiber supplement is not going to do what you need it to do. You're over 40 years old and you need to stabilize your blood sugar. She said, what do you mean? And I said, you need to be eating, and I want you to hear this. This goes for everyone. 6 to 7 grams of fiber per meal. Yep. Most of us don't do that. And why? Because we want to get our fiber around 30 grams a day. Okay. 25 to 30 grams a day. And that means we need to split it up. And why do we need to split it up? Because we want to stabilize our blood sugar. When you eat a donut or let's say one of those lollipops they used to give us when we went to the dentist, we'd go to the dentist to get our teeth cleaned and then make sure we had something that caused cavities on our way out so we'd come back, right? Here's you a dum-dum. Pick out your dum-dum. I was a dum-dum, all right. I see now why dentists served them and why they were called dum-dums, right? So anyways, out the door we go, just sucking on that lollipop. But don't be a dum-dum and eat a lollipop and not expect your blood sugar to spike, because when it does, it causes you to store body fat. But so many women struggle with fat loss because we're spiking our blood sugar all the time. We're a dum-dum. Okay, we're having dum-dums. And our blood sugar's spiking all the time. When you're over 40, did you know that insulin is a hormone? So when we say, I just have hormone problems, we think, well, I have, less estrogen, I have testosterone problems and progesterone problems, but you also have insulin problems. When one is bouncing all over the place, it causes problems with the other ones as well. All right. So if you're spiking your insulin all the time, honey, that doesn't lead to balanced hormones. And whenever we have unbalanced hormones, it becomes a lot harder to lose body fat and much easier to gain it. So we need to quit spiking that blood sugar all the time and make sure that if we're eating some carbs, that they have fiber, or if there's no fiber in there or very little, that we have protein. So one thing I like to say is if you're going to go out for a scoop of ice cream, it's got some fat in there, right? It's got sugar in there. But if you're going to go out for a scoop of ice cream before you go, grab you some protein. Make sure you ate your dinner first or your lunch first, okay? Even if it's a cheat meal. And you just think, man, for my cheat meal, I'm just going to go out. I'm going to have ice cream and cake and all this stuff. And some of you do. And your blood sugar you just spike the heck out of that blood sugar. Before you go, grab you something that has some protein in it, or grab you something that has some real good fiber in it. Get you something like a Greek yogurt and put some blackberries on it or some chia seed on it or something like that. You've got a protein and a fiber. So then when you eat your ice cream, you've eaten protein and fiber first. It doesn't spike your blood sugar out of the park. It kind of helps stabilize that a bit more. Okay. Another thing is the best time to eat carbs would be before a really big workout. Now, I'm not talking about a workout where you go in and you don't break a sweat. All right. I'm not talking about it's upper body day and you're just laid back. You aren't pushing yourself in the gym and you're getting your little pink and blue weights out and you're just going to town with those. You could hold them with two little fingers and you look at me go. I've been doing this for 35 years. Stop. Don't eat carbs before that kind of workout because girlfriend ain't gonna do much for you, right? So we're gonna eat carbs before a workout to fuel a workout. So the best time, if you want to have one of those really tasting, yummy chocolate rice cakes, they are so friggin' good. I kid you not. They're already sold out. The rice cakes. I thought hopefully no one else will know about these because these sell out. So if you're gonna have a rice cake, have it before a leg day. When you go into the gym, you go about an hour before, half hour before, grab you some rice cakes because you're going to use that carb now. Now that doesn't have a lot of fiber in it. So you're going to go, well, I don't know if I should eat this now. Allie said not to eat it. Well, we're going to go in, if you go into leg day, like you've seen some of my leg days, 455 pounds on hip thrust, 100-pound split squats, that's a big day. I'm going to eat rice cakes. I'm going to have a banana before I go. I'm going to load up on some carbs. And they usually don't have a lot of fiber in them because I want that energy, that quick energy. If I'm going to eat a donut, it's going to be before or after a workout on leg day. Okay? Because my body can use it for the workout if I eat it before the workout or use it for recovery to refuel my muscles. So whenever you work out and you have carbs, you release some of that glycogen in your muscles, right? And so I'm refilling those quickly, and it can help actually, eat the better carbs, not the bad ones, eat the better ones. But if you want to have something like that on leg day, go for it. If it's an easy upper body day, I would not have the ice cream. I would not have the rice cakes. All right. If it's a rest day, I would not have the rice cakes. I would not have all the junk and the stuff that spikes your blood sugar. Leg day, I will. And I don't feel bad about it. Okay. Don't eat carbs before bed. How many of you ladies want to eat carbs before bed? If I'm going to eat a bowl of ice cream, you know what I like to do? And my grandmother did this with us. We get a bowl of ice cream in the evening after dinner, and we'd sit down on the couch and watch TV before bed and eat ice cream. Not a great plan. So that was one of my things. I'd love to, think about my grandmother, and I'd sit down before bed and have a big bowl of ice cream. I used to do that all the time, even a small bowl of ice cream before bed. That is the worst time to eat carbs. Why? Because you're not moving. You got to think of carbs as fuel. Do you need a lot of fuel to go to bed? No, you don't. So you eat carbs when you need quick fuel, like I was talking about that workout, that big workout. Now listen, you're going to have holidays and things like that where you're like, gosh, I just ate like half a pumpkin pie, right? Half of one of those pumpkin rolls. Lord Almighty. Now what am I going to do? I know I got very little fiber. You know what you do? You go out and take a walk, a 10-minute walk, a 15-minute walk. Bring that blood sugar down. So if there's ever a time where you're like, gosh, I just ate ice cream before bed and Allie told me I shouldn't do it, girl, get your treadmill out, get your walking pad out. At least give me 10 minutes walk. in the house, back and forth. Do vacuum the floor before bed. Your husband will think you're crazy. Your kids will think you're crazy. Gosh, Linda, would you turn the vacuum cleaner off? I'm trying to go to bed. Margaret. Yeah, and you got to move. You got to move because that insulin is a hormone, ladies, and if we just keep spiking it all the time, it's unhealthy for us. It's messing all kinds of stuff up with our health and with our bodies. Okay? So we got to know when to eat the carbs and what the carbs should look like. And if we eat the bad carbs, what we need to do. So if your boss brings in a whole box of donuts and you go in and you eat one, walk around while you're eating it. Stand stand in the room, make your way around the room and eat it. I don't know, move them feet, go walk after. Do something to move because you need to move. So what we need to do is we need to keep our insulin levels low. That's our goal. How do I keep from spiking my blood sugar levels? Fiber and protein. I'm not talking about you getting your fiber in from those wraps, mission wraps and keto. If you're relying on getting your fiber in with that crap, you're going to be in trouble. Because some of you think, well, I got in, just like that lady at the gym, I got in 21 grams of fiber, and Alicia said, doesn't care about me taking it. I didn't count my benefiber or whatever it was. I wasn't benefiber, but something like that. And I said, I don't want you to count that. And she said, well, why? It's fiber. I said, number one, you're supposed to split your fiber up between every meal because we want to level out your blood sugar through the day. That's going to help you lose body fat. And ladies, if you are having trouble losing body fat, you need to look at that. If you're coming saying, Allie, I am eating the calories you're telling me, I'm getting my steps in. You know what? Look at your fiber every meal. If you're not getting it, you need to make a conscious decision. One of the ways to do it, and one of the ways to do that is to look at the Bod Babe sample menus. Many of you have them. If you don't have them in your app under your fork and knife, reach out. Because I'll tell you, even though those are really simple, there's even a sandwich in there. You can make yourself a sandwich and hit your goals. Sound a little crazy? Yeah, but it's easy to do. And so you know what? We have stuff in there, but we make sure on every meal that you have enough fiber. It's not just about protein, carbs, and fats. So if you're wondering, how do I get my fiber in? I would print that sample menu out and I would look at those menus and see where that fiber is coming from. Sometimes it's things like avocado that you wouldn't think of, or broccoli. Sometimes it's like from Ezekiel bread, things like that. The reason we don't count the fiber that you take on the side too much is because we do want it split up in your meals, like we just said, but also for another reason that is very important. When we look at the good and bad gut bacteria of someone who is overweight or obese, the balance of the good to bad bacteria, that balance is off. Okay? And people with obesity or who are overweight tend to have more bad bacteria. Their gut health is not as good as those who are at weight, at a good weight. So that is a big deal because your gut health, which are those good little gut bacteria, are at least, scientists say, 75% of your immune system. And that means if that balance is off, not only can you be obese, but when that balance is off and you're obese, things like spiking your blood sugar all the time, no wonder it causes so many other diseases because your little good gut bacteria that fight that off, your immune system, is not able to fight properly. Fiber feeds the good gut bacteria. And when you're craving the sugar, Guess what feeds on that? The bad gut bacteria. Those are the ones that cause inflammation, sicknesses, and allow you to get diseases. Those kind of things. They don't like the good gut bacteria, right? So I'm no scientist, but I want you to understand in the way I see it, how it works. May not be completely 100%. Scientists will sit here and go, oh my God. What the heck is she saying? But I want you to understand that, obesity and spiking our blood sugar all the time, boy, it has some issues because those little bad bacteria, when we're spiking that blood sugar, they get a feeding frenzy. And did you know this, that when you eat sugar, scientists have known this for over 75 years. This is a well-known fact that when you eat sugar for at least 45 minutes, depending on how much sugar you eat, it suppresses your immune system. So when I was sick or my kids were sick and didn't feel like eating anything, I would give them something easy on their tummy, easy to digest, something usually that they would want to eat, like something filled with sugar. So when I did that, they were already sick and I was suppressing their immune system. And therefore, it became harder for my child or myself to fight off illness. So we got to take this sugar thing and spiking this sugar serious. If you're going to have it with fiber or what? Protein. Have protein first. If you're going to go have ice cream or sugar of some type that doesn't have fiber or protein in it, have protein first. Don't just have dessert. And don't have dessert before dinner. So if you sit down and you say, I've heard people do that before, I'm just going to have my dessert first and then I'm going to eat my meal after. Don't do that, because what you're doing is you're spiking your blood sugar and then you're eating the protein and the fiber and all that after. So it's better to eat your dessert after eating your meal. Okay. And if you have just carbs, you need to move your body, right? If you break down and you eat a bunch of carbs at work when they bring them in, I'm sorry, now you got to move your feet, all right, for at least 10 minutes. It's important. Let me see what else I got. Eat your fiber at every meal. Keeps your blood sugar stable. Time your carbs based on your activity. Not when you're sitting around the house doing nothing, not before bed. You have them preferably before a workout or after a workout. Limit carbs before bed and when you're sitting all day, right? So carbs can help you build muscle, ladies. Did you know that? And that's why I'm using my carbs before and after my workout. And that's another reason why when you saw me talking about I was in the gym for over 2 years and I could not build muscle, I wasn't eating enough protein and I wasn't eating enough carbs and I was eating a high fat diet. I'd take my MCT oil in the morning. I put butter in my coffee. Can you believe that? I did. Yeah, it was delicious. It really is good. Whip it all up. Ooh. I thought, boy, I'm doing myself a favor. I did myself 0 favors.